Hi folks, and welcome to Attica Armory. A little while ago we did a video for brand new shooters on how to load and unload a semi-automatic pistol. And it was a very basic kind of 101 entry-level video, and it seemed to be wildly popular. So we decided to make another video on how to safely load and unload a pump-action shotgun. And for today's demo, I'm going to be using a Mossberg M590-A1 12-gauge pump-action shotgun. And of course, before we do any kind of dry practice at home, we want to make sure that our firearm is unloaded and that any live ammunition is far away from the area that we're practicing. And for today's demo, I'm going to be using some of these solid aluminum A-Zoom blue snap caps. And before we jump in, please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to visit us at atticaarmory.com to check out a bottle of our citrus-powered synthetic CLP. This stuff will inoculate your shotguns from corrosion and rust, and it won't even have to alter their DNA to do it. Now, let's get started. Alright, once we've made sure that our shotgun is completely unloaded and all ammunition is out of the area, there's a couple of things that we want to make sure that we identify before we start messing around with this, and these items will be in your owner's manual. So they might be a little bit different from one manufacturer to another. For example, the safety, primarily you're going to want to know exactly where that's at. This can vary. Sometimes it can be down here on the trigger housing. On the Mossbergs, they're up here where your thumb is located. Okay, so make sure you identify your safety first and foremost, and you understand how that works. The next thing that you're going to want to identify, and again, the location of this might vary depending on the manufacturer, but you're going to want to identify the bolt release. So generally speaking, with a pump action shotgun, once you actually rack the action back and that cocks the hammer internally and basically cycles that action, before you pull that trigger to fire, it actually locks the bolt, so that bolt can no longer move backwards. And in order to release the action, you have to press this little action release activator here, and that will release the action back. So make sure you identify where that's at. Again, on Mossberg, it's going to be located here behind the trigger housing. On Remington's, it's up here in front of the trigger housing. One of the reasons why I really like Mossberg is because of the location of the safety and of the bolt release. They just seem to be very naturally placed. I don't have to move my hand around to get to them. And of course, when you pull the trigger, that releases that internal bolt blocker and makes it so that you can rack that slide again. This bolt release is critical in unloading live ammo without having to pull the trigger. So once you've identified the bolt release and the safety, let's go ahead and talk about actually loading this thing. So you'll notice on a pump action shotgun, you've got the barrel and then you've got the lower tube, which is the magazine essentially. And if you flip the gun upside down, you'll see that it's really quite easy to load these things. Essentially, I like to just let gravity do the work. When it's flipped upside down, I can just drop this in right here, and I can just nice and firmly and forcefully press it forward until it locks into position. And there's going to be a little kind of little hook, little kind of claw type of thing over here that holds the rim of that cartridge in place and makes it so that it does not pop out until you actually rack that action. So again, we just drop it in, and nice and firm and forceful, forward, drop it in, forward, drop it in, forward, drop it in, forward. Now, we've got our magazine fully loaded, but the gun is not really ready to fire, right? We've got to get around from that magazine tube into the actual firing chamber of the barrel. So in order to do that, we need to rack the pump back and forward to cycle the action. And when you're dealing with a pump action shotgun, you have got to be very deliberate, very forceful, and very positive in your movements, okay? A lot of people have misconceptions about pump action shotguns. They're very reliable and they just don't fail. Well, that's true as long as you do it right, but it is very easy to short stroke, to basically not fully bring that pump all the way to the rear and all the way forward. It's also easy to kind of just slop your way through that motion. Get used to doing very solid, very deliberate movements. Sorry, this hand motion, it's a little weird. It wasn't intentional. So anyway, we're going straight back, boom, and then all the way forward hard, bam, okay? And you'll see here that I have successfully placed a round in the chamber, right there. Now, this gun is ready to fire. If I'm at a firing range, I've got a live round in there, I'm gonna use proper trigger finger discipline, keeping my finger off that trigger until I'm on target and I'm ready to shoot. Now, let's say we wanna unload this thing without actually firing live rounds, assuming that we've got live rounds in here. I've got a hot one in the chamber, okay? What I wanna do is I can pop my safety on just to be safe. I wanna keep that gun pointed in a safe direction just in case if something happens, it's not pointed in any kind of unsafe manner at another person or at any critical property. And I'm going to disengage that bolt block down here with my finger, and I'm going to just go ahead and ratchet slide back, and that'll pop out that first round that was in the chamber. Now there's other rounds. You can see here it actually released that next round out of the magazine tube. Well, what I want to do, instead of chambering that round into firing chamber, I just want to turn this thing over and let that round roll right out. That way I don't have to continually put another round in the chamber. So now there's no round floating around here. I can go ahead and bring that action forward and bring it back again. And there's that next round. I'm just gonna tip that over, let that round pop out, and same deal. Action forward, and I'm just using my finger to release it back. There's that next round. I dump that out, forward, back, dump that out. There it is. Now I've got all 5 rounds out. I can see the magazine follower there, which means that there's no more rounds in that gun. And that firearm is unloaded and it's ready for storage, cleaning, or transport. And that's really about it, folks. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Try this at home, practice, get used to racking that slide nice and firm, nice and positive, all the way back, all the way forward each time, and you guys are gonna do great. Thanks for visiting today, folks, and we'll see you again next time at Attica Armory.